In the middle of the 14th century, a silent and terrifying force began to move across continents. It would become one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. Known as the Black Death, this devastating outbreak reshaped societies, economies, and the course of European history. The disease is now known to have been caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, which spread primarily through fleas carried by rats. In the 1300s, vast trade networks connected distant regions across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. These routes allowed merchants, travelers, and goods to move between cultures and civilizations. But they also created pathways through which disease could travel rapidly between populations. Historians believe the plague first emerged in parts of Central Asia before moving westward along trade networks toward the Mediterranean world. One of the most dramatic moments in the spread of the plague occurred in 1347, when merchant ships arrived at the port city of Messina. Sailors aboard these ships were gravely ill, many already dead by the time the vessels reached the harbor. Within days, the disease began spreading rapidly through the city. Fear quickly took hold as residents realized something deadly had arrived. From Messina, the plague moved across the Italian peninsula and into the rest of Europe with alarming speed. Within just a few years, the disease had reached major cities across the continent, including Florence, Paris, and London. The plague spread with terrifying efficiency. Victims often developed sudden fevers, chills, weakness, and painful swollen lymph nodes known as buboes. In many cases, death followed within days of the first symptoms. Medical knowledge during the medieval period was extremely limited. Doctors did not understand bacteria, infection, or how diseases spread. Physicians often believed the illness was caused by bad air, planetary alignments, or divine punishment. Treatments ranged from herbal mixtures and burning incense to the practice of bloodletting, in which blood was drained from the body in hopes of restoring balance. None of these treatments proved effective against the plague. As the pandemic intensified, entire communities were overwhelmed. Streets that once bustled with merchants and travelers fell silent. Markets closed, farms were abandoned, and many families were torn apart by fear and loss. The scale of the catastrophe was enormous. Historians estimate that between 1/3 and 1/2 of Europe's population died during the outbreak between 1347 and 1351. Tens of millions of people across Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia lost their lives. In cities like Florence, chroniclers described scenes of profound despair. The Italian writer Giovanni Boccaccio recorded how social order seemed to collapse under the weight of the disaster. Many people fled cities in hopes of escaping infection, while others sealed themselves inside their homes. Some communities turned to prayer and religious processions, believing the plague was a punishment from God. Fear and confusion also led to tragic consequences. In some places, minority groups were wrongly blamed for spreading the disease. Jewish communities in parts of Europe faced persecution and violence during this period, reflecting the deep fear and misunderstanding that surrounded the pandemic. Despite the immense suffering it caused, the Black Death also brought profound and lasting changes to European society. With such a large portion of the population gone, labor suddenly became scarce. Peasants and workers who had once been bound to feudal lords found themselves in much higher demand. In many regions, wages began to rise, and workers gained greater freedom to move between towns and negotiate better working conditions. This shift began to weaken the rigid feudal system that had dominated medieval Europe for centuries. Landowners struggled to maintain their estates without enough workers to farm the land. As a result, many traditional power structures began to change. The demographic shock also reshaped agriculture and land use. Large areas of farmland were abandoned, and forests gradually reclaimed unused land. Some communities shifted from labor-intensive crop farming to livestock production, which required fewer workers. Over time, these economic changes contributed to broader transformations in European society. Many historians believe that the social disruption caused by the Black Death helped create conditions that later supported the rise of the Renaissance. With such a large portion of the population gone, labor more valuable, and social mobility slowly increasing, new opportunities emerged for innovation, education, and cultural growth. The experience of the plague also changed how societies approached public health. Cities began developing early systems of quarantine to control future outbreaks. The term quarantine comes from the Italian word quaranta, meaning 40, referring to the 40 days ships were required to remain isolated before entering certain ports. Port cities such as Venice became pioneers in these early health regulations. Ships arriving from distant lands were often held offshore until authorities believed it was safe for passengers and goods to enter the city. Although primitive by modern standards, these measures represented some of the first organized attempts to prevent the spread of disease. The plague did not disappear after the first outbreak. Waves of the disease returned repeatedly across Europe for centuries, striking towns and cities again and again. Each new outbreak reminded people of the fragile balance between human society and natural forces that could disrupt it. Over time, however, societies slowly adapted. Urban sanitation improved, medical knowledge gradually expanded, and governments began paying closer attention to public health. Today, historians and scientists continue to study the Black Death to better understand how diseases spread through societies and how communities respond to crisis. Modern medicine has revealed the biological causes of the plague and developed treatments that can cure it with antibiotics if detected early. Yet the historical impact of the pandemic remains profound. The Black Death transformed Europe in ways few events ever have. It reshaped economies, weakened old systems of power, and forced societies to rethink their relationship to disease, medicine, and public health. In the shadow of unimaginable loss, new social and cultural changes began to emerge. More than 6 centuries later, the story of the Black Death continues to remind us of both the vulnerability and resilience of human societies. It stands as a powerful chapter in history, one that forever changed the course of Europe and left a lasting mark on the world.